Yeah.
Hey everyone, back at you again today with another movie review, and of course today I'll be talking about the Caine Mutiny court-martial, written and directed by William Friedkin, starring Kiefer Sutherland, Jason Clarke, Jake Lacy, Monica Raymund, and Lance Reddick, and of course there are many other names that are very well known in the supporting cast to round out this courtroom drama, which of course is based on the 1953 play of the same name that was based on the novel, and of course the 1954 classic, that of which I have not seen, but I hear Bogart is really great in it, and you know, just an underrated classic that I feel doesn't get talked about enough, and I am looking forward to checking that out some point in the near future. Because this film definitely made me interested after seeing it. And this, unfortunately, is the last film from the late, great, legendary director William Friedkin, who, by all means, I heard about this film right before he passed, and then when I heard he had passed, I was kind of shocked. Because I was like, man, they were just about to show this at Venice, and of course they did, but it's just really crazy that something so sudden could happen. But look, the man was 87 years old, and here he is, working at such a level that I feel like some filmmakers at that point can't really do. And I heard Guillermo del Toro was there as a backup director, just for a contingency plan because Friedkin was so old, and I thought that was very interesting because this movie was a cross collaboration between Paramount and Showtime. So, there was a bit of a restriction with the budget and of course, with how it was shot, because this is one of those courtroom dramas that takes place in one room primarily for the whole thing, akin to something like 12 Angry Men. And I understand that in the original film, they show the implication of these events taking place and kind of give you a broader perspective on what is happening, what these testimonials are referring to. But I think the reason this film works so well is partially due to that limited location. I think this is an example of how great dialogue can drive an entire movie. And look, for those of you who are familiar with William Friedkin, he was sharp as a tack all the way up until the end. This guy was so brilliantly witty and clever unto his dying breath. I mean, this guy was truly a genius in so many ways, and I think that shines through as limited as this film is. Because look, my one problem with it, I guess, is, it's fairly standard when it comes to directing, but yet again, it's the way that William Friedkin captures these shots or moves in on a close-up and really enhances what you are learning from these testimonials and really creating tension in the camera movements. And I absolutely love that about this film, and I absolutely loved this film. I really thought that, this is going to be one of those things where it's like, old director makes a movie and it's okay or whatever. No, that's not the case at all. This legitimately is one of the best films I've seen this year, and I think it's something that everyone should check out. It's just unfortunate that there's a bit of a handicap when it comes to accessing it, through Paramount Plus or Showtime. There's a lot of barriers you have to kind of pass through, but I think once you do, it's very much worth your time. Because yet again, it's the dialogue, it's the cast, it's the predicaments in which they are arguing about that really make this such a compelling drama to watch. And my goodness, this entire cast, yet again, like I was saying with Anatomy of Fall, I don't know what it is with courtroom dramas this year, but one of the best ensembles of the entire year. So many standouts. Jake Lacy, I don't know if I've ever seen him this good. He's absolutely phenomenal in this. Come a long way since The Office, I've got to say. But of course, Jason Clarke, yet again, another performance of him where he's just absolutely grilling someone in a room and during a case, of course, with Oppenheimer, which has since become a meme. But here he really gets even more time to shine because he is the lead defense attorney for Jake Lacy's character of Merrick, who is the one being accused of mutiny in this trial, pitted up against Kiefer Sutherland's Commander Queeg, who obviously Kiefer Sutherland is channeling his inner Bogart, and it's pretty obvious. But even within that being said, the couple scenes that he's on screen, he is absolutely phenomenal. A lot of people say that Kiefer Sutherland hasn't been this good in years. And yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to argue. This guy's really bringing his A game to this, even though maybe it could have been a bit different from, you know, the Bogart performance. Then again, I haven't seen it, but you could tell he's really trying for that. But regardless, I absolutely love what he does here overall. And of course, I have to talk about the late, great Lance Reddick, one of his last film roles as well. And just the gravitas he has on screen, just the look that he gives during this trial to everyone in the courtroom. You really feel his power and you are drawn to him as soon as it cuts to his face. I mean, just what a talented performer we lost way too soon. But regardless, I think this is a great way to go out. I know there's a few more films for him coming in the future, but I think this is certainly a high mark for his career. And of course, I have to talk about Monica Raymund, who is the lead prosecutor for Commander Queeg in this case against this mutiny. And I swear, one of the best supporting performances of the year. I have never seen this woman before, and she commanded every second she was on screen. Every single morsel of dialogue she just absolutely chews on and pours her entire soul into every single word she's saying in this case. And that's another thing I love about this situation, and how it shows, is similar to a film like Anatomy of a Murder, where you really see the moral ambiguity and grayness in taking on certain cases, because Jason Clarke's character isn't entirely sure if he wants to defend Merrick, and I think the conclusion he reaches at the very end of this film is really kind of staggering in a lot of ways, and I think leads to one of the best final scenes of the year in any film. But yet again, it's the way this information is presented to the audience, the way the small details of this case are built up against Commander Queeg. You really think you know what the outcome of this case is and what actually happened. But the thing that's so brilliant, and I think a reason why Friedkin chose to remake this, he inserts a lot of modern day implications into the story and really kind of flips it on its head. I was quite surprised at the very, very end of this movie. And it was quite thought-provoking as well, because really, you watch this whole movie and after it's concluded, you're not really sure who to believe. I think that there's blame to be had on all sides, but I think this film really captures the gap between the old guard and the new, and I think that's something that I think Friedkin could relate to as a filmmaker, coming from the older generation of New Hollywood, being thrown into this new day and age with all this different technology and all these different stories being told. It really does feel like a definitive final statement from a master filmmaker. And I really don't think that he could have had a higher note to go out on his career. Some directors kind of go out with a whimper, but of course you leave it up to William Friedkin to not have that be the case, because this is just one of the most compelling courtroom dramas of the year. Granted, there's like two of them that are really, really great. Well, I guess three, or I guess 2.5 if you count Oppenheimer. But regardless, this is absolutely one that you have to check out if you have access to it. I really think that this is an important film as well, you know, and very, very relevant to this day. And I'm going to give the Caine Mutiny Court-Martial a 9 out of 10. Yeah, I mean, just out of respect for Friedkin, you got to see this movie because I just couldn't be more happy that this is what he ended his career on. And of course, that's the review for the Caine Mutiny Court-Martial. Of course, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and let me know what you think of this movie if you have seen it. And what do you think of William Friedkin overall? I think he was an absolute cinematic legend. A filmmaker so bold and unfazed by anything anybody ever thought about him. He was just such a trailblazer in such a free thinker in so many ways. You can tell by his interviews he did not give a shit what anyone thought, and he was going to make sure that his opinion was known. And I think the ferocity of someone like Friedkin, but yet still the kindness that I hear he brought to his film sets, and in the respect that he showed to the people working for him, is really something to be admired. This was not a life that was wasted, I've got to say, and really glad that this film was as great as it was. So rest in peace, William Friedkin, and thank you for everything that you've given us over the years. I'll see you guys in the next video.